Welcome to the Solutions video for Workout Wednesday 2020, week 42. For this week, I challenged everybody to make a Strava training calendar, like you see in the view here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to reproduce this. Let's first look at the requirements. We know that we have a dashboard that needs to be 1680 by 1020 and all these things here. We'll go ahead and go through these one at a time. But I think the first thing to notice is that we cannot use joins and we cannot use the new data modeling. So we have two data sources we need to connect to. I've gone ahead and connected to those. One is the activity summary. This has the activity ID, the date and time, the distance, and the number of seconds. And then the calendar. This looks like it has every possible date in the view. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is, I want to show you why we're going to need to use data blending. So I'm going to look at every single date that's in the view. And what you'll see is, for example, right here in these first few records, you can see that July 14th is missing. Well, in our calendar, we could see that we have July 14th. So if I go here, I can see that I have July 14th of 2014. Where is it here? So 2014, July 14th. Okay, here we go. So what I need to do is I need to sort of connect these data sources together without doing a join. Now, of course, a join would be easier, but I wanted everybody to learn how to do data blending. So I need to first create my blend relationship. So I'm going to go up to Data on the menu and choose Edit Blend Relationships. I'm going to change it from automatic to custom. And I'm going to add a relationship. In the primary data source, which is my calendar, I'm going to pick day. And in my second data source, I'm going to pick day. And I'm going to choose this for each level of detail that I need. So I'm going to go to month and choose month. And I'm going to choose year and choose year. And lastly, I'm going to choose week and week. Okay, so now when I bring my activity summary into the view, let me just start by doing it at the yearly level, and then let me break it down to the date. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take quarter off so we can see that all of our dates match, right? But we also have a bunch of nulls here. So we have these nulls because we don't have any data for those in our activities for those days. So we need to change all of our examples to 0, or all of our numbers to 0. So if I look at the requirements here, we must show, let's see, any days where I did not exercise need to display 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure the data is correct. So I'm going to bring in the number of miles, and I can see that I have a bunch of fields that are blank. So I'm going to create a new calculated field in my, I could do it in my, that's fine, I could do it in my calendar here. And all I'm going to do is I'll just rename it uppercase miles just for simplicity. And I'm going to put a Z end around it. So this tells me I've got the number of miles. And if I drag that into the view, okay, it didn't work, sorry, because I need to do that. Oops, let me go back here. I need to do that over in the primary data source. So let me go back over to calendar, create a calculated field, and I'm going to call this one miles. And I'm going to do ZN. That's going to turn any nulls into 0 of the activity summary. And if I put that in the view, you can see I get zeros, and then I get the values when I had exercise. Okay, so that looks good. And then we also need it for the number of activities. So I'm just going to create a calculated field over here for activities. And that's going to be a count distinct of activity ID. And over in the primary data source, I'm going to create a calculation similar to the miles. So I'm just going to call it activities. And this time I'm just going to refer to it activities. Now, I don't necessarily have to do this. I just like having all of my calculations in one spot. And then the last thing is the time. So I'm going to create a new calculated field here. And this is hours. So we want to do the seconds. We want to do the sum of the seconds divided by 3600. That's going to give me the data in hours. So let me show you what that does here. So if I put seconds in the view, you can see we got 2,747 seconds. And if I put that in terms of hours, that is, so let me change the number format. Let me make it 1 decimal. And you can see 0.8 hours. So if I do 2747 seconds, that's 45 minutes and, oops, 2747 seconds. That's going to give me 0.76 hours, which is what we have here, 0.8. Okay, so we now kind of have our table working. So over here in the calendar view, I need to create those same fields. So I'm going to create one called hours, and I'm just going to refer to my hours calc. Again, I don't have to do this. I just like having all of my calculations in the same spot. And actually, I forgot to put the ZN around that. Okay, so now we get 0, 1, and I'm going to, I believe, if I look back at the requirements, let's see, if I hover over the marks, you can see I've got the hours is like 1.4. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the default number format for this to be 1 decimal. Okay, oops, wrong one. So hours, no, miles, yeah, let's do it for both hours and miles. Default properties, number format, and 1. Okay, there we go. All right, so we can get rid of seconds, we can get rid of hours, we can get rid of miles, and let me bring activities into the view. Okay, so we have an error message here. Activity summary, okay. And what does this say? Cannot blend because one or more fields is using an unsupported aggregation. Okay, so I actually need to bring it in from over here instead. Let me see here. So if I bring in the number of activities, unsupported aggregation, so edit, count distinctive activity ID. Okay. And I go here to my calendar. Let me edit this. Activity summary dot activities. Okay. And if I drag that into the view, I get that. Okay, so let me try wrapping this in a ZN. I might need to refer to my solution that I did just to make sure it doesn't take me too long. Okay, so let me go to my solution. And we have in the calendar view, so activity summary, we just have count distinctive activity ID. Okay. All right, I'm not quite sure why that's not working, but that's okay. I wonder if I get rid of date here, will that work? No. Okay, I'll figure that out later. Okay, so the first chart I think I'm going to build is this one on the upper right that gives me the number of hours, the number of miles, and the number of activities. So let's see, so I'm going to take date off the view, and it looks like we need to have year as a filter. Okay, so I'm going to drag date to the filters and choose year. And for now, I'll just choose, let's see, I'll just choose 2020. And I'm going to show that filter and make it a slider. That way when it comes into the dashboard, it looks correct. Okay, so that's fine. And you can see we have 2020. I'm going to take month off the view. I'm going to take day off the view. And I've got, let's see, let me bring up the solution here. So we've got 6545 miles. Okay, 596 hours. And then the third thing we need to bring up is the activities. Okay, so let's try bringing that activities in here again. Okay, and I keep getting an unsupported aggregation. That's really interesting. I'm not quite sure why it's doing that. Let me just try doing it this way. And count distinct. Okay, maybe I'll just make it a count because it's not really going to matter because there's only one. And Yes, that's fine. So if I bring that in, there we go. So we could just do a count of the number of activities. I don't need to do a count distinct because each activity ID is only in here once anyway. Right, so I have these three fields. I can take year off the view. Oh no, I need to have year in the view still, so that, because we need it for our blend. And each of these values is a whole number. So I'm just going to format measure values. I'm going to set it to number 0 decimals. What happened there? Well, that's weird. So number 0 decimals, number, and then activities. I'm just going to make sure that's numbers as well, even though it's probably always going to come up that way. Right, so we have hours, miles, activities. We have measured names, and if I put measured names on the text, I also get these things here. But you notice I want these to be uppercase, so hours, miles, and activities need to be uppercase. So I can't really put like an upper function around this, so that's not really going to work for me. So what I'm going to do, right, you see how these have to be hours, miles, activities. So let me just move that there for now. And I'm just going to put the average of 0 here. And then I'm going to do the average of 0.0, and then the average of 0.00. So I'm creating 3 separate shelves. On this first shelf, what I want to have on here is the number of hours. So I'm going to drag hours into the view. Okay, I could take measure names off of everything here. And then the second shelf, I'm going to have miles. Right, yep. And then the third shelf, I'm going to just have activities. Okay, 628. All right, excellent. And I can take measure names off of the view here. I'm going to go to my all marks card, and I know I don't want a tooltip, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So I can go into each shelf now and edit each of these. So this is going to say, so hours is going to be, I think I noted the color here. So that's the blue. So hours is going to be that blue. Oops. Okay, and it looks like it's probably, it's got a big font and that has the word hours below it. Okay, and then hours, but this word needs to be in gray, and then they all need to be right aligned. And let's make this one maybe like, I don't know, 18 maybe. Okay, change all of these mark types to a text. No, I need them to all be actually I think a Gantt bar. And then the labels I want to have alignment left and center. And now when I make this bigger, we should see, yeah, there we go. So 596, it looks like the hours should be a smaller font. Okay, so hours should be maybe 8. And then this should maybe be about 20. And also the font is Arial, so I'm going to go up to Format Workbook, and I'm just going to change the default font to Arial. Is that right, Arial? That doesn't look like Arial. I'm going to cheat here and double check my font. It's, Avenir, not Arial. Okay, so Format Workbook, and it should be Avenir, so Avenir. Okay, that's better. And then hours looks correct, so let me go back in here again. This should be 8, and this should be probably about 24. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then the next shelf, so what I'm going to do here is I'm now going to just copy this bottom part here. So it should be Avenir 9, this one should be 24. So I need to go right align, and this would be miles, this should be 24. And is that in black? That's in black. So if I hit apply, okay, that looks good. And then I need to then go to this one and write a line. And this will be activities. And hit OK. And there we go. So what I need to do now is I'm going to edit my axis. And I'm going to tell it to end at, so let's see, I want it to go from -1 to 0. Let's see. Okay, and then same thing for this one. -1 to 0. This is going to basically kind of like right align them all. And then the third one, I'm going to right align, make it -1 to 0. And then I can go ahead and uncheck show header. And then from here it's formatting. So format the sheet. I want to get rid of the borders, the dividers, sorry. And I need to go to the lines and turn my grid lines on and back off, turn off my 0 lines, and that looks like it's everything. Okay, the last thing we're going to need to do is we're going to make it unclickable. So I'm going to create a calculated field. I'm going to say click don't, or I'll just call it dummy, easier, and unclick me. Okay, so let's hit OK. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on the all marks card and then the details shelf. So we'll set those actions up later. So this is our bands. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we need to lay out the, actually let's go ahead and do the weeks here next. So each of these bars is a weekly summary. Okay, so we see 2020, week whatever, 12.5 hours. All right, so we need this to be the weeks, so week number, and I need to make this apply to worksheets all using this data source. Okay, so 2020, and then what is it showing me? Number of hours. Okay, and we want to make that a bar chart. And we want to make sure that we turn off, that we turn on show missing values. And let's see, so this should end in week 41. Okay, so let me take that off. Oh, I know what it is. So let me undo that. I need to also put in the activity summary, I need to put year on the detail shelf. So, okay, so now you can see it ends in week 40. We got 6.8 hours. Okay, good. Now, because I put an extra field on the detail shelf, we can see we've got like gray borders around these, so I'm going to turn the borders off. I'm going to go ahead and hide my header for both of these. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the go here and format, and I want to get rid of my grid lines, get rid of my 0 line, and get rid of my axis rulers. I probably should just do that through the workbook. Let me see here. So lines, grid lines, none. That makes it quite a bit easier. Axis rulers will be off. And then 0 lines, we want those off. But I can't do the borders, so that's fine. Dashboard, okay, that's all good. Right, and these look a bit thinner, maybe slightly thinner than normal. I don't know, we can play around with that once we get it in the dashboard. Maybe I'll just put it there. Okay, so that's the upper left chart, but it says 2020, week 28, and then however many hours. Okay, so we want to go into the tooltip. We want to have the year. What does it say? 2020, week 34. And then I want the week number. Oh, actually, I think I don't need the word week. And then it's going to say however many hours. Okay, so these are all going to be unbold. and it looks like probably about maybe 14, 12 point, something like that. And let's see what that looks like now. So 20, yeah, so I don't need the word week in here twice. Okay, and 2020, so let's check the font. Okay, so these look a bit bigger. This is where it can get a bit fiddly, so let me make that 14. This one looks like it's probably about the same size. And then that looks like it's probably 8. Okay. Yeah, 2020 week 16, 20.4. Okay, that looks good. So this is our week summary. All right, great. All right, so now we move on to, so that's 2 charts done. Let's move to the third one here, and we're going to start with the grid layout. So what I want to be able to do is I want to have my 4 months in 3 rows. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a calculated field, and I'm just going to call it month. Actually, I'll call it upper month, and it's going to be the month of the date. No, I want to do date name of the date field. No, sorry, date part should be month of the date. And then I want to take the left 3 values of that left, and then that, comma 3, and then wrap the whole thing in upper. Okay, so if I drag that into the view, onto the text shelf, we see we got those. So now I need to lay them out in this little grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a calculated field, and I'm going to call this my columns. And this will be, I want to do the month field. Let me see. So I want to do month of the date field, -1. And then I want to take the modulo of that. So this gives me the remainder when I divide by 4. And I want that to be discrete and up here. So if I put this here, you'll see January, Feb, March, April, whatever, but I also need it in the columns. So my columns calculation, my rows calculation, that's going to be similar. It's going to be the, first off, it needs to be an integer, month of the date, -1, divided by 4. I think that's right. And let's drag that here. And okay, so I've got it slightly wrong. So let's edit this calculation. I think this might need to be, let's see, so we need to do the month, so that's 1. Yeah, I think I need to do -1, and then like that, I think. Let's see, nope. And apply. Okay, so now we're off by 1 again. So month, date, -1, maybe like that. I forget what the calculation is. There we go. Okay, so that gives me my rows and my columns, which is good. So you can see I've got my nice little layout here. And now each of these is going to be a day. So I'm going to drag my date field from the calendar and make it day continuous. And then I want my bars to be the number of hours. Okay, so let's just drag hours there and make it bars. Okay, you see we've got something a bit messed up here because I chose the wrong kind of day here. I should have done discrete days. This would be my, my day dimension, and then I want to make it continuous. And I'm going to make my bars as thin as they'll go for now. I can fix that later, and I'm going to remove the borders. And then label I'm just going to put onto the detail shelf. Okay, so now if I hover over here, I should see, so 78. Okay, so that's not quite right. So hours, I think I need to use this one. No, so that's going to give me the same number. Oh, I see. Yeah, because I have to put from here, I need to put year on the detail shelf. There we go. So 14.5 hours. And then I need to make it at the month level. Oops. month. And then let's see, so now we got 1.2 hours. Okay, and you'll notice here when I get to like 29th of February, everything lines up nice and neat. So it lines up to the 21st. So if let me show my filter again. If I switch this to 2019, you'll see that it only goes to the 28th. Okay, and then our font for this should be similar to the other one. So let's go here, and I'm going to just copy all of that. And then in my tooltip, I'm going to so this is going to be, it should be the date and then 0.9 hours. Okay, so this should be, instead of that, I'm going to insert my, so I wanted a day, let's see, and then insert month, insert year. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, oh, I got the wrong field here. So this one should be, this is going to be my hours. Shoot, so that was 14. Okay, there we go. So 1.2, I think that looks good. Okay, and these bars should be black. And I think I just need to make them a bit wider. Okay, something like that. We could play around with the size last. Okay, so I know I can get rid of my headers now for my rows and my columns. And I can get rid of the headers for my days. Oh, and I also need to make sure I choose the show missing values option. Okay, so there we go. So that's kind of this layout. Let me do the formatting while I'm here. The background is going to be gray. Oh, that's not right. We want the, let's see, the background. We want the, yeah, we want the whole thing to be like a light gray. Okay, not quite that light. Okay, that looks like it's about the right color, but it's not. Let me see here. All right, so I'm going to cheat again just to speed up the process here. And when I format this, all right, so layers, pane. Okay, let me just copy that code. I'm just trying to speed up this process for everybody. Okay, there we go. All right, but now we also have these borders we need to put in here. So I'm going to format again. And I'm going to go to my borders and I'm going to put in fat and white, and then fat and white. Okay, so that gets us most of the way there. So the last thing we have to do is put these numbers up on the view. And let's see how we go about doing those. Okay, so now we have our borders done, and I'm just going to do a bit of checking on the data itself to make sure that we've done things right so far. So if I go here, so if I'm looking at 2020, January should be 35 hours. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to choose 2020, and if I lasso these points, I'm getting 35 hours, but I also notice here that I'm not getting the zeros. So here you see when one of the requirements is that, let me go back here to the requirements. We should have any days when I do not exercise should have 0 hours displayed. So I think what happened here is you'll notice that I use the hours from the blend. I actually need to use the hours from the calendar itself. So let me put that in here in place of that. And now you should see, okay, so there we go. So now we've got 0 hours. And if I check it against the solution, you see I've got 0 hours. Okay, perfect. So that looks good. So now, excuse me, the next thing we need to do then is we need to get these numbers up there, and then we're just about done. So let's see. So this is, I'm just going to rename this as our main chart, or maybe our grid. And okay, so what we need to do is we need to kind of like, if I go back to the solution here, what we need to do is, you see how these are all kind of like up in the upper right corner. So what we need to do is we need to kind of find the tallest bar and then go up above those. So let's start by first finding the largest number of hours. So let's see. So let's start by finding the maximum number of hours per month. So let's create a new calculated field. I'm going to call this max hours per month. And oh, one thing I wanted to mention is Rosario has done a solution that does not require any table calculations, and I would highly recommend that you look at her solution. So I will put a link to that in the description below, and then also make sure you subscribe so that you can see any future videos that I create. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to, let's see, so we're going to look at the maximum per month, max hours per month. So I'm going to say, first off, I'm just going to say window max of the hours spent. So let's put that in here and hit OK. So that looks good. I'm going to just put that as a dual axis, and we get something like this. But I need to edit this table calc to make sure that it uses every field in here. That way we can get oh, let's see, I did something wrong there. So edit table calc. Okay, so that should be, okay, I think that's fine. Okay, so we can see we've got these bars. The largest bar that we have, if I look here, oh, I see. I think, so this needs to include, I think this needs to also include day. So let me go here. Okay. Let's see here. So, okay, so I don't need the day on there. All right, so let me go ahead and just make this a, just for make it easier for me to see, I'm just going to make it a line. And I can see that I get a constant line all the way across. And on this particular sheet, for now, I'm going to just insert my max hours per month. Okay, you see I get 7.534, which is probably one of these bars here. But this one's getting split up by this isn't correct because it's getting split up by the number of, right? Oh, I see. Okay. There's a couple things I'm going to need to fix here. So edit table calc, that's correct. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and take this off for now because notice here I'm getting one bar. So if I put that back, I'm now getting multiple bars here, which isn't quite right. So, and you see the months are different as well. So max hours per month. Okay. So let me go to activity summary, and let's see here. So if I go here and I look at my, let me see, if I start out with, okay, so that's the number of hours. And I think maybe this should be, let's first get the total number of hours per month. Let's see, let me first start by getting the, I just want to double check my numbers here, hours per month. And I want to do a window sum of the hours. Okay. And let's see here. So hours per month, I'm going to put this here as well. And then edit the table calc and choose everything. So for each SOAPs, that's backwards, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And our hours per month. So let me make this a line. Okay, and we get our hours per month is, go into the tooltip, insert hours per month, and I should get the same number, so 6.5. Let's see, I think what I need to do here, okay, I'm going to cheat here for a second. I just want to make sure I don't take too much time faffing around with this. So I've got my max per month, and on this shelf, so it's year month. Okay, so I have that as the same, and then here, okay, so day. Let's see. So here we've got we need the day of date. Okay, so let me go on to this bar and drag on the day of date. Okay, there we go. So now I'm back to a single bar. So I didn't have this at the right level of detail. So yeah, so okay, so now we've got, let me get rid of the hours per month. We see our max is 7.54, which I'm guessing is this one here. And what we want to do now is we want to take that, so max hours per month, and I'm going to just offset that. So I'm going to like multiply it by like something like 1.7, and that's going to kind of move it up in the view. So if I make this a dual axis, and let me go to my alt marks card, and I'll leave the color separately for now. And if I synchronize these, you'll see that I've now got this kind of buffer of space where I could place my label. But I need to place it kind of out here somewhere. So what I'm going to do is, in this calculation, I'm going to say if the attribute of the date is, let's see, no, I want to do the date part, date part day of the date field, and I think I'm missing a, there we go. If that is the 27th, then I want to do the window max. Let me just move this down, end. So basically end is saying otherwise null. If I hit apply, you see I now just get a single dot here. Okay, good. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my tooltip here. So on this label shelf, what I want to do is I want to have on this, I want to make this text. And on this text, so let me get rid of my measure names. And on this text shelf, what I want to do is I want to have the month on the text shelf. I want to have, let's see, so I want to have the hours per month on there. And then what's the third thing I want to have? I just want to have just the word hours, okay, which I can steal from over here. So let me go here, and I'm going to just, what I'm going to do is, actually, let me go into this one here. And I'm going to just copy that, because then it's going to look pretty close to what I need. Okay, so let's just paste that in. And we want it to look like, so we want the month first. So let's put that here. We want to insert the upper month, and this is going to be gray and probably like, I don't know, 18 if I had to guess. No, smaller than that, probably like 15. Let me just hit apply for now. And Jan, Feb, okay, so it looks like it's probably like 16. And then the miles, this should be hours. So instead of this, I'm going to insert my, let's just hit OK. And I want to put my max hours per month. So I want to copy that onto the text shelf. Okay, and then if I configure that to make sure it's correct. All right. Let's see, so, oh no, that's not what I want to do. This one should be my hours per month. There we go. And I'm going to edit this table calc, make sure it uses everything. Okay, oh no, sorry, no, it needs to, let me undo that. Okay, let me go back. Okay, there we go. So this should just be configured by the columns, because I want it to be just each of these like blocks here. So let me go into my text shelf. Instead of this being that, I want it to be the hours per month. And then get rid of that. and then this should say hours, and this looks like it needs to be probably maybe about 18 if I had to guess. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and then I just need to format it to not have any zeros. So okay, there we go. So Jan, Feb, March, April 69. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm going to hide the header here. And you see I've got a little indicator on the bottom right, so I'm going to hide that. And I believe I'm done there. So the last thing I need to do is I need to put my dummy field onto this view as well. And then I'm just going to double check and make sure my borders are off. Okay, good. Okay, so now we're on to building the dashboard. So 1680 by 1020. So 1020. I'm going to kill the phone layout. And let's see. So when I look at the solution, let me go here. I can see I've got. Let's see. If I were to look at this as a box, let me just take a screenshot of this. Maybe that'll be the best thing to do. Okay. And now what I'm going to show you how I would look at this as kind of like layout containers. So I'm going to just draw a box around this. So oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So let's see, how do I draw a box? Okay, so I'm going to start with, this is going to be kind of like my very outer container. So I'm going to have a container here, something like that. And then I'm going to have a vertical container inside of that. So I'm going to just stick a line here. Oops. Let's see, so actually, yeah, let's see. So I'm going to just draw a line here. And this is going to kind of be still part of that same container. So I'm going to have a block there, and then another one kind of here. So I've got kind of three sections, my text box, this middle section, and then the chart at the bottom. And then this section here is going to be another container. So let me change the color of that to make it a bit easier to see. Let me maybe make that one blue. And so this section here is going to be its own container. And this is going to be vertical. So I'm going to have maybe, you know, like, let me just close some of those. I'm going to have like, let me rotate this. So we're going to have something like maybe a block there, and then let me just copy that. So we can either put a blank in the middle, or we could have a blank here in the middle, or we could just make one of these with a lot of padding or something. I'll probably use a blank because I feel like it's a bit easier to control. And then this section here, so I've got my date field and this, let's make this green and block. Okay, so now this section here is going to be its own container. So I'm going to have this, and then I'm going to have a container like that. So it's going to have the year, and then it's going to have something like that. Okay, so this is kind of sort of how I'm going to lay out this dashboard. So let's, let me see. So let me say done. And then I'm going to open that up so you can see kind of what it's doing. So screenshot. Okay, so let's lay out this dashboard. So I'm going to start by floating a vertical object in here. I'm going to change back to tiled, and I'm going to set this to start at 0 and 0, and it's going to be 1680 by 1020. And I'm going to just add some inner padding, maybe like 20 pixels or something. I might need to change that. Okay, so that is going to be this red container all the way around the outside. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag a blank in here, and that acts as like a placeholder for me. I'm going to put a text box here, and this is going to say training calendar. This is going to be my title, and that's going to be like black, and it's going to be, it looks like it's about 22 point maybe. Let's make it bold. Let's just hit OK. And that looks, yeah, it might be slightly too big. Let's make it 20 maybe. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let me go back here to the solution. So training calendar, let me see here. Okay, so this needs to be a bit bigger. Let's maybe make it 22 or 24. You can see it gets a bit fiddly. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got our blank and this, which are both inside of that container. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drag my grid in here. And you'll see it brought up my year field here on the upper right. But if I go into my layout tab, you'll see it's inside this, all of this vertical, all of this tiled garbage. So I'm going to go to the year field and I'm going to choose floating. So I'm going to tile it later, but now I can get rid of this whole tiled, this extra tiled section that Tableau put in there. Okay, so for now I'm just going to leave this kind of floating here in the middle. I can hide the title on my grid. Let's see, and then now I need to, so let me go back here to my picture. So I've done the gray box. I've done this. Okay, so now I need to put this blue container in. So I'm going to drag in a horizontal container in between those two. And this is going to have another, so I'm going to move the blank into here. So if I can find my blank object, there we go. So blank, I'm just going to stick it in there. Again, I'm just using that as like a placeholder, and I'm just going to drag it down to make it a bit easier to drop things into. So I've got my big numbers, which are going to go over here. And let me set to fit entire view. And those are going to be roughly about that size. That looks about right. And then I'm going to put my, so I'm going to put, I've got my blank in here, but I want to put my this other vertical grid in here. So, and then this one's going to be about that wide. This is going to contain my weekly summary. And it's also going to contain this year field. So in this, I'm going to, let's see, it's going to be a slider. And I need to uncheck show title. And I'm going to hold the shift key down and drop it inside this container. Okay, so we've got kind of something like this. If I drag this up, it's going to move those over to the right-hand side. And then I'm just going to add in like a lot of padding on the inside right. So let me make this 100 maybe. So it looks like it goes over, yeah, so it needs to be a lot smaller than that. So let's say 200. And we don't want to see these little readout things. So let me go to, where's that? Customize, show, let's see, show slider. Okay, and we need to just keep adding some more padding until we get it just right. So maybe about 400. Oops. So 300. Okay. 250. That looks pretty close. Okay. So then this whole section, let me unpin that one. And this sheet I want to move over to here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And now I can just shrink up this section a bit to make it look like these bars. So let me go over here to the solution. Okay, these look a tiny bit taller. Oh yeah, and then on this one, I forgot to change my color blue. So I need to pick that blue. Wait, is that the right blue? Let me go back to the requirements here. So that, yep, that's the right color. Okay, so how does that look compared to the solutions? Those look slightly taller. Okay, so let me just drag that down a bit. Okay, we've got those. Yeah, it's still a little bit off. That's okay, that's good enough. All right. And these words look like they're slightly smaller. So let me go to this sheet and go in here to my, let's see, did I make all of these? So these are 9, let's make those 8. And I need to do that for each of these. And then one more. Okay, that should be good. And let's see, so my weekly summary needs to also have the dummy field on it. Grid. Okay, let me just double check my tooltips. These should have no tooltips. The grid has, okay, so that looks good. All right, so then in this view here, if I go back to my dashboard, you can see I've got this kind of light gray. If I zoom in, I think it's, yeah, you can see I've got this very light gray border here that I need to get rid of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to format this shading. I'm going to set the, let me see, so let me set the workbook to none, and then let me set the row, and there we go. Oops. We want to do it for each one. Let's see, how do I do this? This is where I always get a bit confused. Okay. Okay, there's a way I can play around with this. And then my columns. Okay, so those should be, this is where it gets to be kind of a pain here. So let's see here. Okay, I'm going to just go to the solution here. Sorry, it's just a bit quicker so I don't mess around with too much time here. So format shading. Oh, I need to do the pane. That's what it was, sorry. So let me clear. I'm going to clear all, oh, I could just hit clear. And then I'm going to set that to none and set the pane to be that color. Okay, there we go. That's better. Right, so in the dashboard then, I'm going to go ahead and show my caption. And this is where I put in my kind of my footer. I like doing this instead of an extra sheet. So this would be, you know, workout Wednesday 2020, week 42, and then whatever you want to put in there. All right, so that's that. We hover over, it looks pretty good. We go to a different year, and that all looks good. So let me verify it against the original. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to put both of these in presentation mode, because then I can flip back and forth between them. Okay, so 4928. So interesting, this sheet here is bigger. So I think what I want to do here is I'm going to set the text to all go to the bottom. And let's see what happens with that. Okay, that looks better. Oops, did I do it in the wrong workbook? So here, so let's edit this workbook. And let's set the text to go to the bottom. And let's see how that looks. Okay, there we go. So that's good. Right, so the last thing we need to do is kind of get rid of these like click action things here. So we don't want these to like do anything. And I think these, I want to go ahead and make, let me make these, if I make these text, okay, that breaks the view. That's okay, so let me show the header. Oops. Let me just drag the whole thing down a bit. Okay, so these, let me show the header. So I'm going to make this start at like, I don't know, I'm just making automatic. That puts it in the center though. So, okay, again, I'm going to just cheat here to make it easier. So these are all text boxes. Let me show the header. And these all go, okay, they are all from 0. And they're just right aligned. Okay, that's fine. So let me uncheck those. And if I now hide the header, I can go, what happened here? I don't know what that is. I can go here and yeah. Okay, there we go. So I can maybe drag that up a bit. So something's up with my formatting here. So let me see here. Oh, I see, I put this box all the way across. So what I need to do is I'm just going to add some padding here. So inner padding, and I'm just going to add maybe like, I don't know, 25. Oh, not 250, 25. There we go. Okay, so, right, so the next thing we need to do, if I'm looking at 2019, I need this to line up with the gray edge. You'll see it's just on that gray edge, so I'm going to go to my inner padding, I'm going to just add some for the, okay, that looks good. And then it goes right out to the edge of the gray. So I need to make this ever so slightly wider. Okay, now if I go to 2020, that should look good. All right, so let's do our click action now. So actions, and we want to add a filter action. And we want to go from the ban, so this is dummy filter ban. I want to do it on select, and the sheet I want to go to is the bans. And here I'm going to say I want to go from the dummy, and it just has to be to something that's not in the view. So let's say like upper month. And what you'll see now is if I click on this, let's see, what shoot did I do? I did the bans. So here you'll see it doesn't do anything when I click. So I need to now repeat that for the other two sheets. So let's call this dummy grid filter. And I'm going to pick just the grid and just the grid in my target sheet. And again, I need to just have it go from dummy to something else. And let's see, so now when I do that, it doesn't do anything. And then one more, dashboard actions. I'm going to add one more action. This is going to be our dummy summary, our dummy week summary filter. I'm going to go from the week summary to just the week summary sheet. And I'm going to go from the dummy to the upper month. Okay, so now I click on any of these things and they don't do anything. Okay, so that's it. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I can get back to you. And actually, it looks like I've got a bit of an issue here with my alignment of these hours. So let's see here. So let me go to this sheet. And okay, so let me go here, go to the sheet, and dual axis. Oops, didn't need to do that. I meant to do show header and show header. And do I need these to be synchronized? Yeah, I do want them to be synchronized. But something looks a bit different here. So this is, no, I guess it's okay. Yeah, that looks fine. So if I go here, and let me hide the header, put this in presentation mode. I think I'm just using a slightly smaller font. Okay, so yeah, so I probably actually need to do it on the 28th. Maybe that's the problem. So when I did this, this label here, I called it hours per month. I probably should have, oops, that's not it. I want to do my, what is it here? What field's them? Hours per month. So edit. Oh no, sorry, wrong field. Max hours per month. This should be the 28th. There we go. That's it. That's what I needed to do. And then it looks like, yeah, the rest of that looks pretty good. Maybe this font for the hours should be slightly bigger. So this should be 9. No, that looks okay. So maybe it's this size. There we go. That's it. Okay, so that's it. Hope you found that useful. If you have any comments, just leave them below and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. Have a good day.